Have you guys seen? Oh my god, this is gorgeous! Look at them running, it's so cute! Oh no. Oh, turn this shit off. Turn this shit off! Made in Abyss made its debut back in 2017 when anime had just started its golden era. It entered that weird middle zone where you couldn't call it underrated, but it wasn't popular enough for the amazing story it manages to tell. If you're a fan of stories with incredible world building and fantasy settings that stray from the norm, you'll like it. And if you're attracted to children, you'll also like it. But first, let me explain the premise! Made in Abyss is a story about... well, the Abyss, what'd you expect, dumbass? This ginormous gaping hole littered with relics and artifacts which brought in thousands of adventurers looking for profit. The Abyss is composed of 7 layers, each progressively getting more dangerous as we go on. However, the real interesting part is the curse of the Abyss. You can go down the Abyss as much as you'd like, however ascending it means you'll get hit by its curse. If you ascend in the first layer, you get light dizziness and nausea. Second layer, heavy nausea and numbness of limbs. Third layer, vertigo and hallucinations. Fourth layer, bleeding out of every hole. Fifth layer, loss of all senses. And sixth layer, loss of humanity and death. That sounds pretty fucked up. Yes. Do you know what makes the story even more fucked up? Make the protagonist children and send them on a mission to the bottom of the abyss. That should already serve as some serious groundwork, showing you that this isn't your typical feel-good show. And it gets worse. So much worse. Rico, a 12-year-old, receives a letter from her mother, Liza, telling her she's waiting for her at the bottom of the abyss. A 12-year-old can't survive the abyss alone. You're precisely right. Thankfully, a special grade relic is going with her. Reg is a practically indestructible cyborg who acts and looks like a human but has no memories of his past. We don't know what he is, where he came from, how he got here. All we know is that Liza's letter, there was a drawing of somebody who looked kind of like him, so they must somehow be connected. That all happened in the first episode. The story instantly bombarded you with so much information and you're hooked. You want to know who Reg is, what Reg is, where he came from. You also want to know whether Liza is alive, why she's inviting her 12-year-old daughter to the bottom of the abyss. Is it even her? What the abyss is like? Is the curse really as bad as they say? The author knows exactly how to intrigue the viewers and scratch the itch of human curiosity. The abyss is a mystery that yearns to be explored, and it does. The author drops exposition in every episode, making you want to see more and more. And subsequently, the more you know, the more you realize you know absolutely nothing. Made in Abyss does something that has never been done in the history of anime. There is no white-haired girl with blue eyes explaining everything through atrocious garbage disposals of exposition. The anime makes you think. You can't turn your brain off watching this show, you gotta figure out stuff on your own. And it's not just a diddly-daddly walk in the park adventure, it gets dark. The art style is cute and innocent for the sole purpose of subverting your expectations when shit hits the fan. Oh, and the stakes are high. Even though Rico's adventuring with Reg, who's a special grade relic, his abilities are kinda mid. He has arms that extend up to 40 feet, making traversing the abyss easier, which is handy. He's indestructible, which is also handy, but Rico isn't, and he still needs to find a way to protect her at seemingly unsolvable scenarios. He also has the fucking Death Star Incinerator of Death! But every time he uses it, he passes out for 2 hours, leaving Rico all on her own in one of the harshest environments in the world. So he can't just go blasting away all he wants, he needs to time and use this blast efficiently, otherwise they're fucked. When Reg is in a confrontation, you're constantly wondering, okay, this isn't good, but he can't use the incinerator. If he does, Rico is left all alone. And then he does use it and you're like, oh shit! And then he misses and you're like, fuck! He's gonna pass out! Run! The story edges you on your seat. You're constantly on your tippy toes wondering what the fuck is gonna happen next. As they go deeper, the curse worsens, the wildlife becomes more predatory and the stakes rise. It's a hard thing to pull off from a writing perspective. Demon Slayer, for example, does this horribly. At the start of the story, we're told that if demons get beheaded, they die. It's as simple as that. But as we progress through the story, less and less demons die from being beheaded. It leaves a sour taste in your mouth when you build up this climactic sequence only for it to result in nothing. But then some demons still die when beheaded. You never know what will happen, and not in a good way. This undermines the narrative's internal consistency, making it challenging for the audience to understand the stakes or invest in outcomes. Made in Abyss isn't like that. There is no time you ascend without getting hit by the curse. It's consistent. The author only plays around with the rules he puts on the world, but never breaks them. When it comes to narrative consistency and stakes, the story is really defined. The characters are kinda stinky poo-poo though. The problem with putting children as the lead is that they will act like children, which can be sometimes a bit jarring. I don't think it gets in the way of the story's incredible writing. It's not like characters are bad per se. They work well as a cast, their chemistry is amazing, they're flawed, they mess up, make bad decisions, just like real people. It's just like, I wish these characters had more mature conversations, and that they made fewer poop jokes. But the antagonists are good. I don't want to get into spoilers, I believe this story is best enjoyed blind, but just for the record, Bondred did nothing wrong. Oh wait, did we talk about world building? I am tired of overused generic settings that I've seen 1 trillion times before. This village, that village, the city, with the fucking wall! It's all the same! Made in Abyss, however, perfectly encapsulates how amazing the genre of anime is capable of being. We don't need Reincarnated as a Washing Machine Season 7, we need more intricate and deep stories like this. The world building is by far the best part of the show. Every layer is so distinct from one another that you can't wait to see the next. It leaves you with a feeling almost as incredible as drunk driving or heroin. The only way I can describe it though is with a question. Have you ever played Subnautica? It's an underwater survival game where you explore an alien planet trying to escape. When you first play this game, everything is new. You don't know the biomes, the creatures that lie beneath. It scratches the innate need for exploration that must be fulfilled. The biomes are distinct. You can feel the environment breathing and it gets terrifying. When you witness some of the Leviathan class life forms for the first time, you shit yourself. Made in Abyss is kind of similar in that retrospect. The author is so good at filling his world with mysteries that he drove the fandom clinically insane. When the Jujutsu Kaisen manga author goes on break, it starts something called Lobotomy Kaisen, where fans create diabolical shit to cope with the fact there is no chapter this week. Made in Abyss manga releases take 3 to 6 months for each chapter. So Made in Lobotomy is on full dial 24/7. Fans of the story will make theories pointing at every piece of dialogue, making them ambiguous, even though it's something like, oh my god, did you just shit it all over the wall? Fans will go fucking crazy over a panel like this, pointing at a secret meaning to chapter 17, 53, and 69. This just shows how incredible the writing is, having fans consistently speculate on what could and couldn't be foreshadowing for later events. However, the series does have a notorious problem. The children! The problem is not that they're children. I actually like the childish take on their protagonist when they're not talking about poop or pee. The problem is what the author does with these characters. He draws them in a very anime-like way. This is kind of a trigger warning if you don't like something that sounds similar to pajamaphilia, but the story often does things that are kind of on the edge of that. Like when they whip and strip Riko whenever she does something bad, or when this diver checks out Reg's balls, or when this character literally gets graped with a fiery metal pole. The anime is actually decent at censoring these moments, but in the manga though, you'll see childish bodies with their tits out every second chapter. And there are 2 reasons why the author does that. It's either to 1, accentuate the shock value of the series, as in, this world is fucked up and I'm not gonna hold back when showcasing that. Or 2, it could be to satisfy some perverted fetish of his. Looking at the author, I would say the latter. I think there's plenty of stuff you can do to absolutely terrify the audience without the need for all this over-the-top sexual shit. But I mean, Mushoku Tensei's weird pedo shit also really weirded me out at first. However, his behavior is like that for a reason. It's to showcase Rudy's growth as a character from a lifeless NEET who was given a second chance. Obviously, a porn-addicted weeb isn't gonna give up his sexual tendencies. He's gonna have to grow out of it and learn that women aren't just objects of pleasure. So do the perverted things showcase his character growth later in the series? Yes. Are there better ways to showcase character growth? Yes! I get what both story authors are trying to tell from an artistic perspective, but I feel pretty disgusted when children are showcased in a sexual setting. However, everything else about the story though left an incredible emotional impact on me. It wasn't a positive emotional impact, nonetheless it had an emotional impact, which is essential for any form of storytelling. The worst thing a story can do is stay neutral and only slightly reach the viewer's emotional spectrum. Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, Free Run, all these shows take the viewer on a profound emotional journey from happy, sad, angry, hyped and depressed, which is why they create such a vast and intricate audience. Made in Abyss isn't for everyone. It's scary, gross, and dark, not your typical feel-good show. But if you watch anime because you're looking for a world filled with mysteries, so far beyond anything you've seen before, then fuck it. I think the sheer amount of work and thought that went into constructing such an incredible world is worth at least giving it a shot. Subscribe! I make videos like this every week. Sort of. Also hit the like button, it helps the algorithm pick up my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye, my Gabfrusies.